Good morning, everybody. Welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment. This is a live show. For those of you not watching live, well, you should have been watching live because then you could participate in the comments in the chat because this is a live AMA. Normally, I would do a real proper show where I demo something, show something, teach something, but I'm heading out of town again and I just don't have time for that. So today we're doing a simple little AMA. Greetings, everybody. For those of you who may not have ever been by here before, I'm PhotoJoseph. This is a show called PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment. We talk about photography and video, gear and technique. That's the general idea. Playing around all over the place, usually having some fun, and today, hopefully, answering some questions. So, who do we have here in the chat room? Serge, greetings. Greetings and salutations to you. I see there's, let me just pull this up here. I can pull up little chats like that. And Serge says he's working in a multinational company that's spreading around the globe. That's the greeting we use. A good local time, everybody. I love that. Instead of good morning, good afternoon, good evening, it's good local time. Maybe I should adopt that here. This isn't quite the same ring. Good local time, everybody. I don't know. Does that work? Is that like, probably not. I like good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's kind of, anyway, it's a thing. So, how is everybody? See, we've got a number of people live in the chat room there. Say hello in the chat. You're live. This is your chance to ask anything you want. If nobody asks any questions, then we'll just head out of here. We'll just bail out because there just won't be anything to answer. And believe me, I got work to do. I'm going to Austin, Texas. It's a Panasonic thing. I guess I can tell you at least this much. I'm going to be playing with the S1 and the S1R. I don't know much more than that. At least I can't tell you much more than that. Nah, I really don't know anything else that's going on, but that's what I'm going to be doing. Got my hands on it. I'll get my hands on it for the first time. I don't know if I'll be able to post from there, share any pictures. I don't, fingers crossed, because I would love to tell you guys everything, but obviously I'm bound by certain rules and regulations, and I will do what I can do, and that is what I'm going to do. David Price, good afternoon. Edward Nuron, did I resolve my Mac Mini issue? Ooh. Okay, so to bring y'all up to speed, I bought a Mac Mini, minimal RAM, so that I could do the upgrade to the RAM myself, because I thought, psh, I could do that. Well, guess what? It's a little harder than it looks. It's a lot of steps to install the RAM. That's not the problem part. The problem part is there's a step where you're removing a plug, and I inserted the tool too far underneath the plug, and instead of popping it out of its socket, I popped the socket off of the motherboard. And so that is not something that I can repair myself. Not only does it require being resoldered on, and it is a 3/8 inch wide piece of 3/8 inch wide socket with 6 contact points on it. That's like, it'd be a little soldering. Apparently, upon much closer inspection, that removal actually ripped one of the, I don't know if they're called feet, I'm not quite sure what it's called, but it ripped one of the contact things out of the motherboard. And so the machine has gone off to repair to a company down in California who has actually seen this exact problem before. When I mentioned it, the guy goes, oh yeah, we've seen this. So apparently not that uncommon. He knows how to fix it, so it arrives there today. I'm leaving town today. With any luck, it'll be back here by the end of the week when I'm back, and I will finally continue on with my Mac Mini. In the meantime, I'm having to plug my laptop into my big display, which really don't like each other very much. Too much display for the graphics power in this machine, but there you go. Speaking of new Macs, did you see there was a rumor yesterday on 9 to 5 Mac that there is a 16-inch laptop coming, which would be a nice I don't know if you remember, if any of you ever saw this thing, had one. I had one, a 17-inch MacBook Pro. I think it was a beast. It was a desktop that fit in your bag. Heck of a machine. They discontinued that. God, I don't know, years and years ago. 15's been the biggest one for a very long time. But a 16 is apparently rumored to be coming. And it's going to have a, well, no, the 16-inch, and then also, sorry, second thing that was on the rumor list was a 31-inch 6K display. Ooh, now that sounds really interesting. All right, let's see, let's just bring these back. Oh, they are up. David Price, have you upgraded the memory? So that was the thing. I upgraded. I did install the memory. I did install the RAM in that successfully because once I broke the thing off, I continued disassembling, installing the RAM. I don't want to say that it's hard to do. It's not hard. It's just you have to be very careful. It's a lot of steps, but it's actually not that hard. It's just you can't screw up like I did, because that's a question. That's an expensive proposition. Sarah says, Panasonic 100 to 300 Mark II. Have you tried that lens? I have not. Considered getting it for an extreme telephoto, an alternative to the Panasonic Leica 100 to 400. It's 3 times the cost. Is it really? So I have the original 100 to 300. It's okay. It's, it's a slow lens. The optic quality is okay, but it's not great. There is a noticeable difference between the original 100-300 and the new 100-400 Leica. I have not compared to 100-300 Mark II. I would imagine it is slightly better than the Mark I, but still nowhere near as good as the Leica, one would hope, if the cost is triple. So I would say if you need a long lens in a pinch, but it's not like critical work, then go ahead and get the 100-300. If you want your picture, if you're doing like safari kind of stuff, you want your shots to be once in a lifetime kind of things, get the 100-400. And if it's out of your price range, rent. You can always rent gear. I always recommend that. Remind people you can always rent gear. Keep It Simple says, is there any way to take photos with the GH5 and instantly have them appear on the iPad for full screen view? Okay, so I have never actually set this up. There is a way to transfer as you shoot to iOS using the built-in app. Not built-in app, I left my phone in the other room, the Panasonic, whatever it's called, app. The same app that you use to transfer photos. There is a way to have it transfer over automatically. It is definitely not instant. If you want the fastest show up of your pictures possible, you shoot tethered, wired tethered, that's going to be your fastest route. Again, it's there. I've never actually set it up, so I can't speak to how fast it is, but it should work. Sorry, I can't say. I've never actually done it. But is there a way to? Yes. Is it worth doing? Is it too slow to be useful? Cannot answer that question, at least in a studio type environment. Shark, where am I off to now? In case you missed it, Austin, Texas, Panasonic thing, getting my hands on the S1, that's all I know. David Price, haven't heard the rumor about the new MacBook Pro. Yeah, it's exciting. There were a couple things in there. So it was the 16-inch MacBook Pro, a 31-inch 6K screen, and the next iPhone will have, these are all rumors, same sizes, trying to get all these things right, same sizes, updated Face ID, obviously, that's always getting better. Pass-through charging, which as I understood it means that you could take your phone, set it on your charger, on your wireless charger, and then put your the iPod Airs, right? Yeah, no, whatever, the earphones. Put those on top of the phone, and they would all charge in a stack. Interesting. I don't know if I buy that. Interesting. And then, the 4 cameras. That was the other big thing. 4 cameras rumored to be on the back, or 3 cameras, more cameras, and I've seen some mock-ups of that. Keep It Simple, thank you very much. Oh, wow, that's a very nice contribution. Thank you, Keep It Simple. I do appreciate that. That is a super chat, my friends, for those of you who ask questions and get really good answers and feel like it might be worth something. That is one heck of a way to say thank you. Thank you very much, Keep It Simple. I really, really appreciate that. Pardon me. All right, so let's see here. Now, Studio 18. Hi, if you know when the Leica 10-25 will be out. I do not. All I've seen of that is a mock-up. It's big. It's going to be awesome. But no, I have no other information on that one. Trevor, without regard to brand, I understand the Panasonic bias, of course. And for anyone who's not familiar here, I am a LUMIX ambassador. Therefore, I am biased. Therefore, I do not talk about other camera brands. Because if I said, oh, the Panasonic's better than the Sony, you're going to go, uh-huh, sure. So, I just don't. Anyway, without regard to brand, what is the best Micro Four Thirds ultra wide you've shot, especially for gimbal? I haven't shot any off-brand, any third-party ultra wides. I've got the 12 millimeter, that's not ultra wide. I've got the 12 mil, I've got the 8-18 zoom, which I love. Love that 8-18 zoom. That's about the widest, I think it's the widest lens I've shot on Micro Four Thirds. Yeah, anything wider than that would be like a fisheye, which I've never, like the Rokin. There's a fisheye out there that I keep looking at going, I should get that, it could be fun. But I know it's one of those things you use twice and then never use again. Anyway, the 8-18 Panasonic Leica lens is the widest one that I've shot. Haven't worked with any third-party really wide lenses. Love the 8-18. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic lens. So that's about the best I got for you. Sorry. Dizing, will the existing flash units from LUMIX Micro Four Thirds work with the new S1, S1R? Yes, they will. They are the same flash, well, I mean, it's the same flash connector. That's a universal across all camera brands. But yes, they will. Panasonic had said in the press release that the what do they call the 580s will work, but also we know that the third-party ones like which I don't have here, wherever they are, wow, my brain is somewhere here. Where is that? Oh, it's in the suitcase because I'm taking it with me. Somebody tell me what brand of flashes I was just playing. Godox, those are the ones. The Godox lights I was just working with, those are going to work as well. Beyond that, it's a flash. It's a flash and the same TTL system is in there, so there you Thank you again. Thank you again. Keep it simple. That was awesome. David Price, will USB-C be on the next? Oh, that was something else that said in there that the rumor was on the 9 to 5 that they would still have Lightning. I don't buy that. I really don't buy that. I think everything's got to go USB-C. What would be the advantage of sticking with the Lightning port other than pissing off fewer people by not switching the port out? But like USB is just the everything. It's kind of the perfect port that we've all been waiting for. And of course, once everything's on it, somebody will come up with something else. But I would hope it goes to USB-C, even though it will mean for me buying new accessories, as it will mean for everybody. I think it's time to make that switch. But the rumor said it would still be on Lightning. Andras Varga Fekete says, what autofocus settings would you recommend for G9 in a run and gun situation? So you're talking video or stills, actually would be the same thing. Autofocus continuous. As far as the mode, face detection. Here's why. Face detection is kind of the best, the ultimate all-around mode. Because first of all, obviously, there's face detection. So if there's a person in the shot, odds are that's what you want to focus on. Boom, you got face. In fact, I'll show you something. Just for those who haven't seen it before, let me get the right wires up. In addition to face detection, and this is why the G9 is such a great vlogging camera, is it has body detection. So when the face goes out of frame, you get body detection. So you get a box around, not out of frame, but too far, or out of frame, actually. You get full body detection. So that's really, really key. If there's no human element in the scene, it reverts to the, whatever, 255 area, whatever it is, the multi-area. It reverts to that. And instantly, you can tell it to focus on a single area by simply tapping the thumb joystick. So as soon as you tap that, it immediately reverts to the last position of the single focus area, which you can then easily move around with that. Or if you want to do the trackpad autofocus, you can move around with the trackpad on here. Something that I have done videos on. I will try to remember to add that video to the link. That's a lot. I'm going to have to start taking notes. There's a lot of videos I got to add to this. But I will add that to it. Sorry for those of you who are like wondering why in the world am I typing on the middle of the show. So trackpad autofocus. I will add that to it because that's to my notes down below. It's a good video. Anyway, so where was I? I wanted to add. Let's see here. Get the right cable on here. I think this is the right one. I will show you what that body tracking looks like. And let's see if this is syncing. Yes. Okay, that's the right one. Let me see. I'm going to put in autofocus continuous. Makes sense. I'm going to put this into video mode. Also makes sense. Waiting for it to resync. There we go. And let's turn. Oh, it's in. What are we in here? Let's go into it. Aperture priority. Just keep the exposure constant. And there's that. Let's go wide on. This is the 12 to 60 zoom lens, incidentally. And let me make sure that autofocus face detection is on. It is. Okay. So now, I'm hoping this is going to work. Hopefully this is not going to rip my camera off the table. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me go. That is super dark. Let me overexpose this a bit. Oh, I think I'm not in auto ISO. Yeah. There we go. Now I should get a proper exposure. It's still looking very dark for some reason. Why is that coming through there so dark? All right, let me just go manual. I've got some weird setting in here that I'm missing. Let's just go manual exposure. Take the ISO up a bit. It's quite dark in the back of my studio there. And what the heck is going on here? What am I doing wrong? Okay, that's just weird. What in the world am I doing? Oh, I've got a very, very dark neutral density filter on here. That would explain a lot. I'm like, I've cranked the ISO way up. I've got no exposure coming through here. What is going on? Okay, there we go. So now let's make sure autofocus touch is off. It is. Okay, now let's go here. There we go. So you're looking through that. Okay, so there you see how it's got my face, right? So that's, let me get closer to it. So there it's got my face. You can see the face outline. It's still a little dark. Let's, oh, now I've got it set to underexposed. There we go. That's better. Okay, so there it's got the face. As I move back, at some point, you start to see, I think you can start to see it now while the exposure is way off, because now I've stepped into this field of super bright lights back here. But it should, yeah, you see the body, right? So you see the body box? I'm looking at it on my little screen. I'm pretty sure that's showing up there. And at some point as I get closer, the face detection kicks in. So that's that reason for that, to use that. And then when you are, so let me just go back to this view again. At any point, God, place is a disaster. If I hit the joystick, I immediately get this, which I can make bigger or smaller, and I'll show you what I'm actually doing physically in a moment. And then if I want to get rid of it, I just hit the back center button and it goes back to, hit it twice and it goes back to normal full-on autofocus. So what I was just doing was, let's get this camera in place. What I was just doing, so as soon as, oh here, you can see it on the back here. So now we're in normal face detection mode. As soon as I push the joystick, you see you get the selector up there, which you can move around like this. You can change the size of it with this dial here. And when you want to reset it, hit the menu button twice, and it's going to go back to a reset mode. You can also touch the trackpad to move that focus point around. So there you go. So that would be my ideal setup for autofocus on the G9 or the GH5. The GH5 doesn't have the body detection, but it's the same idea. You have all of those same controls. Face detection is the primary method. If it sees a face, it grabs that. If the face is too far away or the back is turned, but it still thinks it's a body, it switches to body detection. If there's no human element, it switches to 256 area or 255 area, whatever it is. And you can always, with a single touch, go into single area focus. So that is by far the most versatile mode. And once you get used to moving the focus point, resetting it, and so on, you can very quickly move back and forth when you're shooting video or stills. But and I would honestly recommend the same method for both for most situations. So there you go. Hopefully that was an interesting demo, and I hope that actually worked out well and communicated that way. Alrighty, back to the question. Shark, will Panasonic let you leave the show with an S1? I do not know. We'd be allowed to talk about some specs of the S1 and S1R. I do not know. I would imagine nothing more than what I've already shared, but you know, there was the big press release. I did a video when I was in India, all the new information. That's the vast majority of the information is out there. I don't know that there's really anything else to know that isn't already public. So, yeah. Ben 5 Shuttle, I have the 100-300 Mark II lens. Oh, good, which is great for its compact size and focal length range, but I'm going to change to the 100-400 when you can. Thank you very much for sharing that, Ben 5. I don't remember who asked about the 100-400, but there's a great response for you. Where were we? Oops, where scrolled off screen for me. There we go. David Price says, I like travel zoom cameras, no lenses to buy, no having the wrong lens on the camera at the wrong time, no heavy weights, fit in my pocket, long zoom. Which one do you like, David? There's so many great cameras on the market today. Jesse Driftwood was just on Twitter, was asking for recommendation on a compact camera. And I don't know the Panasonic lineup at all for little compacts, but someone recommended, I want to say like a Z200 or 300, something like that, which has like a 25 to 300 millimeter zoom lens in it. It's a little compact camera. Pretty awesome. Smaller sensor, of course, but wow. I mean, there's some pretty cool compact cameras out there. Let's see, David Price, now you're thinking of getting one that does RAW. Oh, well, there you go. So let me see if I can figure out what that camera was, because that was a nice looking little camera. And it wasn't cheap as far as compacts. I mean, it's still cheap for a camera. It was like maybe 700. Let me just see if that's oh wait, this must be it. It's in my search history. So yeah, look at this thing. Let me go full screen on this and get rid of that. Here we go. This one here, yeah, LUMIX ZS200, and let's look at it on B&H. It's quite a nice little, okay, 750, 747, quite a nice little camera. Oh, this doesn't have very many pictures of it. No, maybe with the deluxe kit we see more pictures. No. Okay, well, I'd like to see more pictures than that, B&H. Let's see here. Go to another listing for it. Back up, back up. Okay, back up. Where's my, there we go. Back up. Let's try the Amazon listing. Oh, here's the Panasonic page. That'll be better. Okay, on the Panasonic page, there we go. So we can see, yeah, this thing is like 24 to 360. My goodness. Yeah, 20 megapixel. It's definitely small. What is it, a 1-inch sensor? So smaller than Micro Four Thirds. But man, if you want a compact camera, fits in your pocket and does it all, that's hard to go wrong with that. That's pretty awesome. Cool. So, and that undoubtedly shoots RAW. I mean, of course it shoots RAW. Of course it shoots RAW. Not even going to look it up. It obviously shoots RAW. Let's see here. Keep It Simple says, can you recommend a good beginner's course on using strobes? So on my lynda.com/LinkedIn Learning, it's on LinkedIn Learning now, course, I haven't done a dedicated flash photography course. I do some basics of flash photography in my Photo 101 course, and I do some flash photography stuff in the product photography courses. There's a couple of product photography ones that are in there, but it's not, none of them are a general getting started with strobes. Tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for. I am trying to actually plot what my next course will be for Lynda/LinkedIn Learning. If it's a beginning course for flash photography, that could be a great topic. Tell me what kind of thing you're looking for. Like, you've never shot strobes before. Is it kind of a how you set it up, how you use it, when to use it kind of a question? It's an interesting one. Interesting one. Trevor says, is the so the 8-18 is significantly better than the 7-14? I think so. I have both. I've had the 7-14 for a long time. The 8-18 is sharper, less distortion, better color rendering, and it's a beautiful lens. It's a really, really nice lens. Yes, it's ever so slightly less wide than the 7, but that's never been a problem for me. I used to use the 7-14 pretty much exclusively for real estate type stuff. I never used it for vlogging, too much distortion. The 8-18, there's less distortion around the edges, so I feel that's a good, even at its widest setting, a good vlogging camera. If you get, if you put yourself off to the side, you're going to get some distortion there for sure, but not as much as you had with the 7-14. Andras Varga Fekete says, on the G9 there is no setting for video. Speaking about photo, there are 4 settings which can be customized. Oh, you mean autofocus custom settings? Oh, that's what you're asking about? I hope you still enjoyed that demo. Autofocus settings for photo. Let me see exactly what you mean. If you're talking about custom settings, I never use them. Oh yeah, autofocus custom settings, photo. Oh, that's so funny. I don't think I even realized this is in there. Okay, so a little bit of back history for this. First of all, use the default set 1, unless it's really not working for you. A little bit of history on this. Boy, this goes this goes back into the dark era of me and YouTube and autofocus. The GH5, when the GH5 was first announced, when I first had my hands on early copies of it, we were all, and by we I mean like all YouTubers, everybody who had their hands on the camera was doing all these tests with all the different customizable autofocus settings. We were all trying to figure out the best optimal setting. Panasonic did some updates and came back and at the end of the day said, you know what? Just leave it at its default settings. The other ones are there if you really, really need it, but you shouldn't have to. We all kind of agreed you shouldn't have to mess with this stuff. Don't mess with it. Leave it at its default setting. So those default settings are your best by far all-around settings. Now, if you have a very specific shooting situation, I don't know, shooting horse racing or something, and there is some specific thing about autofocus that isn't working, like there's something in front of you and between you and the track, and every time you pass it, the camera tries to focus on that and you don't want it to, then in that case, go into the settings and look at things like autofocus, area switching sensitivity. That would be that. So you'd move it more towards the locked in, less sensitive. That way it will stay where it is even though something gets in the way of you. But that's going to be a very, very specific customized type of setting. Hope that helps. Dizang, when using the extended low ISO on the G9, chat, come back here. Where'd it go? There, no. It's that chat, it always pops up at random times. Okay, when using the extended low ISO on the G9 at ISO 100, is there a compromise compared to using the native ISO of 200? Okay, that's a great question. Extended ISO in general, it's giving you, obviously, more ISO than you would normally have. Typically at the sacrifice of dynamic range. You tend to have a little bit less dynamic range at those extended settings. However, if you are in a controlled environment and you know your exposure is perfect, go ahead and drop the ISO and you're not going to have any quality degradation because you've already got your exposure perfect. And this is of course assuming that everything's within range in the scene. So example of this, when I did the GH5 training course that I did now a couple years ago, in case you haven't seen that, let's just pull that up real quick. If you somehow have not seen this course and you are a GH5 or GH5S user, there's nothing specific about the GH5S in here, but GH5training.com will tell you everything you want to know about the GH5, and in fact, it is pretty much everything you need to know about the G9 as well. There's features in the G9 that aren't in that course, but it's like 90%. Anyway, when I was setting up for that course, the lighting situation that I had built, the lens selection I had used. I was shot most of that course. You can't see it from here, but it was kind of the cameras on one side of the room. I was halfway across my studio. I was using a long lens, so I had some nice compression. The background was nicely tied in, and I was using the Nocticron almost completely wide open to get really shallow depth of field. It was a really beautiful set. But because of the setting, because I was using the lens so wide open, yeah, I had too much light, right? So I had to drop the sensitivity all the way down to ISO 100. I was concerned about that. I was concerned about the video quality. So I actually talked to my friends at Panasonic about it, and the way it was explained to me was as long as you know your exposure is perfect, and of course I'm monitoring, nothing's changing, everything's locked in, zero issues whatsoever. It's when you need that extra flexibility, you're going to be doing a little more correction, that you want to make sure you have that little extra wiggle room. I would recommend not going into the extended ISO range. Obviously, there are times where you just got to do it. You got to do what you got to do to get the shot. But if you have a choice, don't, unless you're in a controlled environment. And again, the difference is so minimal. It's most people are probably very hard pressed to find it anyway. But there's the general wisdom that I can bestow upon you. Okay. Let's see here. Trevor asks, it's been a bit since the last firmware update. Not that long. If you had to guess what might be some things they're working on, stuff folks have been mentioning. I honestly haven't heard anything. The last update did some more autofocus stuff. Gosh, I don't remember what was in the last update. It wasn't that long ago though. There's maybe, one or two a year, kind of on normal cycle. I don't know that there's anything specific that's coming right now. So yeah, sorry, I don't have anything for you. Saying, when using a weather-resistant zoom lens. Okay, if rain gets on the lens when it trombones out, if you retract it, will the water get inside the lens? I'm going to answer that question as an assumption, because I don't know. I don't know the mechanics inside the lens, but I don't think you could market a lens as being water-resistant, weather-resistant, not water-resistant, call it weather-resistant, and not be able to actually use it as it's intended. Zoom lenses are obviously meant to be zoomed in and out. So which lens are you talking about? There's a good question. Which lens are you talking about? Because the Leica, oh no, like that one does. Sorry, never mind. The Leica ones are, I think, all weather sealed. So it must be fine. I mean, it's gotta be. But I don't have a definite answer for you, but it's gotta be. I would say when you're done, zoom it out, trombone it out, as you say, wipe it dry. You go back and forth a couple times, see if any moisture comes out with it, and then make sure it gets to totally dry out. But I think you'll be fine. Yeah, I think you'll be okay. Okay. Shark, I thought the compact camera industry was on its knees because of everyone's reliance on camera phones. I certainly can't speak to the finances of it, but I would agree that fewer and fewer people are buying compact cameras because, yeah, camera phones are so good. But I think there's still a very valid market for people who just want a little tiny camera, something that fits in your pocket, fits in your purse, that's a lot more than an iPhone. I totally get that. I mean, I personally wouldn't use a camera like that, but I don't mind carrying a big camera. So for those, though, who want to have just a tiny little compact camera that fits in their purse, but actually has a zoom range, I mean, my goodness, 300, what did I say, 380 millimeter, 360 millimeter zoom? That's nuts. That's a lot. Shoots 4K video, too. Go figure. Okay, all right, cool. Let's see here. Keep it going. Comments. David Price. LUMIX ZS200 would be perfect, but it has no articulating LCD. Well, most people who are using cameras like this don't need that. But hey, I won't argue. It would be cool to have. David Price, how would you prioritize? RAW, 1-inch sensor, 20 megapixels. For my personal use, RAW would be the most, no. Well, okay, 1-inch sensor versus what? Versus something smaller? My personal use, RAW would be most important, but for the market that this camera is intended for, I would say the bigger sensor is the more important thing. Megapixels, schmegapixels, who cares? Most people who are shooting on a camera like this are never going to do anything more than put it on social media. So 20 megapixels is way more than they need anyway. Most people who are using it for this kind of photography aren't going to be shooting RAW or don't care about RAW, aren't going to process RAW. They want the JPEG to look good. They don't even know what RAW is. Who cares? Get a good picture out of it and go. In that case, the sensor is the one thing that will show a difference for them. They would see better low light performance, shallower depth of field, better bokeh. Yeah, I would say the 1-inch sensor would be the most important thing on that. But, of course it's got RAW. Kelshis says, have you ever been on a one-person video shoot? Okay, and you had to fill multiple positions, including being in it all the time. All the time. What do you think vlogging is? What do you do to help you multitask? What do I do to help my multitask? Well, first I clone myself. Man, no, that's hard. I do most of my shoots are just me, and most of my shoots I'm in. So yeah, it's hard. There's no like easy answer to how do I do it. Obviously, you got to put your camera somewhere, so a tripod, maybe a gimbal, a slider on it so it looks like there's movement, or that new Viral thing that I was showing off. I can't wait to do something with that. You want to have some kind of movement in there, so that's always good. Obviously, if you're hand holding it, and there's your movement. I don't know, I mean, that's a really general question. I don't know if you have very specific things you want to ask, but as far as how do I multitask, I don't know, I just do. I'm not quite sure how to answer the question. You got to figure out how to get in the shot, but I do that all the time. I would say the hardest challenge of it is allocating enough time, because I know that those kind of things take time to set up and do. And so, like, I have a shoot that I wanted to do last week, but then I ended up getting sick, and so it knocked out a couple of days, so I didn't do it. But I'm going to do a video on neutral density filters, comparing really high-end to low-end neutral density filters, talking about why you use it. It's actually going to be a really interesting piece. I've been planning it for a while on ND filters. And I'm simultaneously going to shoot one on NDs for the drones. And I've got it mostly planned out, but I know this is a full day. This is like drop the kid off at school and go straight up the mountain. I'm going to go shoot it in the snow. Straight up the mountain. I'll be shooting all day, and I'll be pressed to get back down in time, and that'll be to shoot a 10-minute video, because there's going to be a ton going on. And I just know that I really have to plan it well, or I'm not going to get it all done. And if I don't get it all done in one day, then it's like, well, great, now when am I going to finish it? And so that's hard. So planning enough time when you're shooting by yourself is hard. Now, could I just bring somebody else with me? Sure, but I'd either have to pay them or ask for favors, and Sean is often here. He loves to come with when he's available, but I can't afford to hire him, and I'm not going to take advantage of his time, unless he's really wants to do it. So, yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. He helped out with the Viral one. That was super fun, and it takes a whole other dynamic to the shoot when there's somebody else involved. If you have specific questions beyond that, please, by all means, pop them in there. Okay, Andras Varga Fekete also asks, I set up my G9 for a short video shoot using my phone over Wi-Fi. Okay, facing to the subject as an external monitor. Okay, well, I wanted to monitor the LCD on the back of the G9. Perfect. That's great. You can also, obviously do that, but if you want to have some distance to you and you want to have the camera as a monitor, that's awesome. That's something I definitely have done in the past, especially if you want to just lock focus and you can't reach up and hit focus on the camera. So if I want the camera far away, then you can get in position, go on your phone, focus on yourself, it's focused, tap record, it's recording, everything looks good, perfect, set it down and do your shot. That's a great tool, great way to use the camera for that. Andres also says, surprisingly, the LCD of the G9 went black after a short period in the recording, while the phone still showed the live view, and I could not monitor much, just hoping for the best. Okay, LCD going dark, turn off sleep while recording. It's one of the, it's not sleep, it's one of the monitor settings that you'll want to disable. One of the, power saving settings that you'll want to disable. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Excuse me. So you go into the wrench. Where did I put the cable? There we go. You want to go into your wrench settings. That's not the C wrench, but just the big wrench. And as soon as this syncs up, I'll put this on screen. Here we go. Okay. Menu. So this wrench, the big one, economy, page 2 of 5 on the G9. Auto LVF monitor off. That's probably the one you would need to turn off. Or sleep mode Wi-Fi. That actually, I wonder if that would help you. Just having this set to off because you're connected over Wi-Fi might help. But in general, I would set that to off. Power save LVF. I don't think that's going to matter. I think this is the one that you need. You may need to experiment a bit. And if you're shooting, just turn everything to set to off if you're going to be doing some kind of a big video shoot and you want that camera facing you all the time, the LCD facing you all the time. But that's what I would do. I'd look into those settings there. I think that'll give you what you need, I think. Because I do that stuff. I do that all the time, and I don't recall that being an issue. Not on this camera, though. On the other cameras. So I must have it set differently there. Pardon me. All right, Shark says, I know exactly what Panasonic need to add in the next firmware update for the GH5 and GH5S, adding linear focus. You're talking like focus by wire. Linear, I get what you mean. We've talked about it. I have no idea. I don't know if it's a technical thing, if some people just don't seem to understand the value of that. I don't know, but I get it. David Price says, I hiked the Camino de Santiago. Nice, with the LUMIX FZ200 hanging around my neck. Never again. That's why I do pocket cameras. FZ200, isn't that what this is? Oh, this is ZS200. FZ200, what is that? Oh, I think that's a bigger bridge camera, right? I think that's what that is. FZ200. Okay. Wow, my keyboard doesn't work. Sweet. My keyboard stopped working. Excellent. Let's try this over on the iPad, shall we? Wow. Tech is with me today. Okay, FZ200. Pretty sure, yeah, that's the larger. Oh, I just disconnected this camera. Anyway, it's larger. It's a bridge camera. It's not the biggest, not as big as the FZ1000, but it is a smaller bridge camera. Yeah. If I was, if I was going to do something like that, wow, that's tough because I would want to be shooting like crazy. It would be really. I would have to carry a proper camera. I couldn't do that without carrying a proper camera. I'd have to give up something else to bring the weight down. But yeah, man, that's a tough one. All right. Jonas says, do you know of a method to geotag photos after import in Lightroom CC, or better to simply wait for Adobe to add manual geotagging? Okay. After import, no. Do not know of a way. I would say you can't relocate originals. You can't. No. If you want to manually geotag, you need to do it before you import them. You really do, because I think even, let me just check something. I'm pretty sure you can't do, I'm looking in the preferences here, local storage. Oh, right, you can, okay. Okay. Here's how you do it. If this is a common workflow thing, but there's no going back on this. So just like back in the days of Aperture, you can work what do you call it? What was it called then? Referenced or managed. Referenced meant that your originals lived on an external drive, well, anywhere outside of the library. Managed meant they lived inside of the library. You actually have the same control inside of Lightroom CC, except once you bring them in, there's no sending them back out. So there must be a consolidate. Migrate? No. Ooh, that's interesting, actually. Maybe there isn't a consolidate. Huh. I'm not sure how you would bring them in. Anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. If they're not inside of the library, then they cannot be synced to CC, to the cloud. I'm almost positive that's correct. If they're not internal on the library, then you could, I believe, never done this, so theoretically, you could update the metadata in the file on the hard drive because you have access to it, and it would just read the metadata on next refresh. I don't think there's even a force refresh metadata. I think it always just rescans it. I wonder, wow, this would be an interesting experiment. Okay, so let's say, you did say CC, right? Yeah, you did. Okay, let's just say, I'm really kind of thinking this through out loud here. You're working normally, managed library, everything's internal to the library, you're synced to the cloud. You have a shoot that you did, whatever, a week ago or something that you now realize you need to geotag. First of all, you have to store them all locally. Make sure they're all pulled down locally. So you would go to a album, any album, so whatever, just pick an album, and you would, where is it? Right-click on the album. No, right-click on the album, there we go, and store album locally. So you choose that. First of all, you choose that, and that will then pull all the photos down, so you have all the RAWs. Then, open the quit Lightroom, open the package, locate the original RAW files, and then run your geotagging software on that. And if anybody's wondering what I'm talking about how you would do this, this would be a method where you have recorded geo tracks, geo positions on an external device. Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's dedicated hardware. You now have a file that is a GPX file, I think it's called, if I remember right, that you now need to marry with those. There is multiple third-party software that will take a look at your GPX file, take a look at your RAW files, go, ooh, these are the same timestamp, and add the metadata to the RAW file. At that point, you'd have the metadata on the RAW file. On next launch, so I don't think there's a force read. No, there's no, I don't think there's any kind of a force refresh metadata, but I'm going to assume, and this is a big assumption, but I'm going to assume that it is basically every time you load the file, it is checking it. So at that point, it would check it. I really like this idea. Do me a favor. I want to try this out. Jonas, do me a favor. Tweet me, post a comment, remind me later of this, because I want to actually try this. I want to try this, because I like it. I want to try it. But remind me to, because as soon as this is done, I'm going to go do something else I'm going to completely forget. David Price, yes, the FCC200 is the bridge camera, about the size of a DSLR. Awesome. Ben 5 shuttle instead of the bridge camera, the GX80, GX85. Yeah, totally. One of those little, I don't have one here, but those cameras, very, very nice. Great for travel. Martin says, you should be able to edit the EXIF info pre-import. Yeah, well, if you do it pre-import, then you could edit the metadata, do the geotagging pre-import, and then import it, and you're fine. But he's talking about, as far as I understand the question, after you've imported, too late to do it pre. Shark, do you have and use a gimbal to stabilize the GH5S? Which brand? I get the feeling you don't use a GH5S much. I don't use a gimbal that often. I have one sitting right here because I have piles and piles of gear sitting here that needs to be reviewed. I've done some stuff on this. I never did a dedicated review to it. But this one's from a company called Beholder. It's pretty good. It's not amazing, but it works. It's kind of a pain to balance, but it works. I don't do that much shooting, that kind of shooting, honestly. GH5S, I do use that actually quite a bit. I use it, great, I don't know where anything goes. I use that, any low light video, I always use the GH5S. If the camera's locked, I will on a tripod, I will most likely use the GH5S instead of the GH5. If I've got a 3-camera shoot, then that is probably going to be the primary camera. The GH5s would be the 2 side ones, just because. But no, I use the GH5S all the time. All right, and that's the gimbal that I haven't used. It's okay. It's not as good. Like the newest. If I used gimbals more, I would upgrade to the latest. Not DJI. I don't remember what the latest, like the company that makes the awesome ones that you actually have focus and start-stop control of the camera from the gimbal. See, I don't use gimbals. I don't even know. Freddie says, "Yep, it works. I own one." Are we talking about the gimbal? Awesome. Okay. All right. That is the last one so far. We'll see if anything else comes up in the next couple minutes. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this thing up. It's been a solid 45 minutes. It's time to get going. I have a flight to catch, not for a while, but I'm heading out of town today. I will, I'm not going to vlog this trip. I will post little videos on Instagram. If you're following on Instagram, follow the stories. I've been really, like India, I did stories a lot. That was fun. I really got into stories on Instagram for the first time. I know, welcome to 2019. Thank you very much. I'm here. I really liked it. So, you know, if you want any kind of, if there's going to be any sneaky insights to the S1, obviously I won't show you anything I can't. But if there's going to be any insights, anything about it, any public little reveals, it'll be there. So follow Instagram, check that out. David Price, will this AMA video be posted? I will stay. This video will stay here. I'm not going to download this and re-edit it. It will just stay live. It's not even going to go hidden as soon as I hang up, which is what normally happens. So this will just be here. Shark, will you post on Facebook? I only post on Facebook via Instagram. I love Instagram. I post on Instagram and I tell it to post to Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. So that's my method. So you can follow the same pictures on Facebook and I will interact on Facebook. But even like if you add a comment to a photo on Facebook, the process is so crappy, right? I get an alert on my phone. Okay, someone's commented. I tap it. Does it take me to the comment? No, of course not. It takes me to some screen that doesn't even show the comment. Then I have to refresh that and then I see that list and then I tap it and at that point it might take me to the comment or it might not. Man, Facebook leaves a lot to be desired sometimes. Instagram's much better. So I really prefer Instagram for all that stuff. So anyway, it's there. Andre, good to see you. All right, I guess that's it. All right, guys, we're gonna knock it off. I'm gonna get out of here. And yeah, if you wanna see, if you missed any of this, this is all staying here. Scroll back, watch the whole thing, enjoy yourselves. And I will post, I thought I was gonna have more videos to post. So I'm gonna post that video about the autofocus tracking. I'll try to remember something else I might've talked about and post that down below. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. I'll see you on Friday. Oh, yes, Thursday. Okay, Thursday live training, normal time. Friday's photo moment, Thursday's photo moment's been pushed to Friday because Thursday morning I'll be on a plane. Right. Oh, and also last Friday's photo moment, the whole Lightroom thing, will get uploaded later today. I hope. I need to finish editing that, which is what I'm going to go finish doing right now. All right, guys, take care. See you later. Bye-bye.